questions, go. You go.
Hi.
Welcome us. Welcome us. Welcome to Muses and Musings, episode 3. So what are we going to be talking about today?
We're going to be talking about a musician now existing in a whole different culture from what was the paradigm not even that long ago.
Not just musicians, but human beings in general. You know, our lives are very digital versus analog nowadays. Yeah. Everything's online. And, you know, I think it's pretty important to remember that it does affect us in a variety of ways. And, you know, it's important to have an awareness of that.
It's funny. I've often wondered about, like, at the rate that technology is now developing, like, what's the human evolution?
Yeah,
like,
right?
Like, evolution takes a little while.
Yeah, we're not catching up.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm a little bit scared of what's going to happen when we do. Like, maybe it's probably good that we're not evolving as quickly as technology, because, like, where are we heading?
That's interesting.
It's like totally Black Mirror kind of stuff.
There's plenty to say that are the downsides, but I think we're not really wanting to focus on that. Like, we'll be real, but let's talk really about what are the good parts of the digital age, social media, things like that.
YouTube came out, or YouTube became like more and more popular as I was in early college, and that helped me a lot in the early days.
You have a really cool story actually about how, say it, it's cool.
It's not cool. What, are you talking about my first video and how I titled it?
Yeah.
Because, like, it's totally one of those things that you would do when you were 18, and now you're like... So, my first YouTube video was when I was 18, and it was, again, YouTube was very new, so it's important to remember the context here, because it's not what it is now, or it was not what it is now. And it was my first YouTube video. It was a cover of Guthrie. And by the way, Guthrie was not where he is now. You know what I mean? Like, he was just becoming known through YouTube, by the way. So it was still really new. And at the time, it was very obvious that the way to kind of break through on YouTube and get hits is like if you were some sort of novelty. So it was cool to be like, I'm 18 and I can attempt to play this, or whatever. And I think when you are 18, you have the mindset that kind of does think like that, as embarrassing as it is to admit now. So I was that person who titled a video that way, and I kind of hate to say it, but that used to do the trick. I don't know if it still does, maybe it does. And again, as embarrassing as it is, it actually helped a lot, especially with it being my first YouTube video. And I think what you're referring to as this being a cool story, because me telling it, I don't feel like it's a cool story at all. But you know what? It led to me meeting Guthrie and playing with him eventually, and you know, cultivating a really good friendship over the last 7 or 8 years. And so, yeah, I do have that to thank. So YouTube really is amazing in that way, despite the little embarrassing moment. Because, yeah, I would never call something like that now. Although, actually, you know what? Funny you should say that, because this was almost exactly 10 years ago. And what I was thinking is maybe I should do, like, a 10th anniversary video where I take another crack at the same solo, but try to play it, like, way better.
That's a cool idea.
And as a joke, I'm going to call it 28-year-old girl playing Guthrie solo. And that's the other thing, is, like, not just the fact that I was young and naive and, you know, all those things are true, but also YouTube was so young and social media was so young that I think it was really easy to not realize that, like, this is really public. Like, anybody can see this. You know, like, now we're really aware of what the implications are of that and what problems have risen from that and what bullying's risen from that and all that stuff. But at the time, it was like, it was kind of an age of innocence in a way for a lot of people. Yeah. So yeah, it was harder to see that at the time when you're just like sitting in front of your computer, you know.
Right, exactly.
So, trolling didn't even have a term yet, because it was just becoming a thing.
Right.
Okay, now you go. I've talked to you.
I think for me, like, the most positive thing that I can see about, like, the whole being online and social media and everything, well, I guess maybe 2 things. One is that I feel like it allows musicians like us to have something like a career,
Totally.
you know, because I feel like at a time, like a generation before us, we would be kind of at the mercy of a larger entity, like a record label or something like that. And if they didn't, and maybe, like, I don't know what it was like to be then. So this is just my impression. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave it in the comments below and tell me I'm full of crap. But my impression was that, and what I've heard is that if you were viewed as a star, then you were primed to be a star, and along with all of that comes, you know, other people telling you what you can do. It's the rare exception that artists had, you know, the kind of creative control that we have. It's like nobody tells you what to call your album. Nobody tells me what to call my album. Like we do what we kind of do what we want. Yeah. And then we're the ones who reap the rewards or take the risks, you know. And so in a way, something that is a downside to some is also creatively very freeing. But the other alternative that could have been is, okay, like, so say somebody at a larger entity saw me and was like, we don't see you as a star, you don't sing, you don't, you know, you're not the right type of person. You're lacking that X factor. Right, exactly. You know, then my option is what? To try to become, you know, associated with somebody who they did feel that way. Right. So I feel like now we just have more options. You know, people can tour or not tour. People can do YouTube videos, or, you know, there's just so many different platforms for people to be creative. And to me, that's an incredibly good thing. And the other thing that I think is really good about it too is it's so much easier to connect with people on a much more personal level. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the more you connect with different types of people, the better that just is for humanity. You know, it's very easy to live in a bubble, whatever that bubble is, you know, as musicians, as the way we think, you know, any particular group of people. And the internet has made it so that we are exposed to and that we confront people maybe with different ideas, different views, and yet we're joined because of something, you know, that I see as incredibly positive, that you see as incredibly positive, which is music. And so when you can start from a place of common ground, I think it leads to greater openness and people actually having real communication too. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's important to, like, you know, you have to come at it from that angle because, you know, it can be hard to connect from something that you're not there. But but yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It really has made the world smaller, you know, because I mean, you're only ever really one degree of separation now from so many people, and like all of a sudden our community is bigger but also smaller in the sense that, like, you know, it is such a small community because everybody knows everybody. Right. We just, now, everybody knowing everybody is not 30 people, it's a lot more people. And we still know everybody and we're aware of each other, and, like, you know, we're aware of Australian musicians that maybe we wouldn't have been if we hadn't toured in Australia. What do we talk about now? Am I just in your way a little bit? Oh, that's okay. He'll understand. So what other positive things do you think social media and the internet has done for us as musicians? One of the things I really like is I feel like it allows us to learn about and to connect with the people who support what we do. Mm-hmm. And it's a super direct link. You know, sometimes I'll write, I do try to reply to any message that isn't like just like ridiculous. Sometimes I miss stuff, but in general I really try to do that. I've gotten messages back where people are like surprised that I would take the time to write with them, and I think it's like, okay, there's an important balance, and you and I have talked a lot about this, you know, because, you know, as much as we're focusing on the positive, I think most people can agree that too much social media We've been down that road. Yeah, there can definitely be too much social media, and that can have its own psychological toll. But the being able to connect with people, to write with people, to become friends with people, is an incredible, like, gift. Just even about, like, I see. Never mind. I love learning about, like, my demographic. I remember being blown away with my first album that the first physical copy. It's so short-lived. I know. You know what? Nobody wants. He wants us to sit closer. This is what he does when. Okay. He wants to sit right between us and get all the attention. Yep. He wants 2 laps at once. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
or not.
All right. Have you decided? Yeah.
Can you figure it out?
Okay. Are you more comfortable? All right.
All right, you got it.
Okay, you were saying.
I remember being blown away that my first physical CD order for my first album was from somebody in Finland. And I was like, how does anybody in Finland know who I am?
Internet.
I think the weirdest thing, I won't consider this a negative thing and therefore something we're trying to steer away from. I think one of the weirdest things about social media is it can kind of get you thinking about yourself in the third person.
Right.
Which is super weird.
It's weird because it's like, you would think, oh, it's so helpful to be able to like have the outside perspective of myself, but it's not really the outside perspective because you're still you. You're just really arrogant now. It's like, she is amazing. I mean, like, what?
I always think about it more like that there's like, well, I don't know, because I do try to make sure that I put forth stuff that's honest and and that is a part of me. Like, I don't put forth anything online that's untrue, but you only give a certain picture about it just simply because you know it's going out there to God knows how many people and to people who are not necessarily predisposed to like you or to be like, oh, that's cool. And so I think you can naturally, and in fact, that's one of the ways that I feel like I've changed over my time in social media is I think I've become a lot more selective about what I share.
Yeah, which is important because, you know, and actually I was just going to say, like, speaking as a fan, it's amazing to have so much more content than ever before from the people that you like. But I think even from the fans' perspective, it's like, just, there's always something really nice about keeping some things a mystery with people that you admire because you probably want to see them a certain way. And like, you know, and also we still have to remember that we're entitled to our private lives. You know what I mean? It's okay for us to be people and it's okay to be selective about, you know, and I think we're both open people, so it's not like we're hiding anything, but there's, you know, I think there's a balance and it's good that we share a lot and everything that we share is always organic, but, you know, I think people feel like they connect, but we also have our own lives, which I think is nice. Remember when being a guitar player did not require taking selfies? For me, the focus has always been whatever I share, it has to start from an organic place, and it's gotta really, it cannot be contrived, like it has to be me. And I think, I'd like to think that that's what people connect to, because it's never for any other reason than like, I feel like sharing this.
Well, should we take some, go to questions and then pose our question?
Let's do it. Alright, let's see. Okay, one question that I really like, or we really liked, is what's it like to be constantly asked what it's like to be a woman in the music industry, and what better questions would you like to be asked by us, the media? This is from Trey Xavier of Gear Gods, who we're both fans of.
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah, it's a great question, and we should be asked that more often. What do you think?
I don't know what it's like to be anything other than what I am. So all I can say is that the number of times I've been conscious of my gender when I'm playing music, like I can't think of any time that I was like, wow, I'm female and I'm playing guitar right now. Like I've thought about that I think like 0 times. Like, are you conscious of your gender when you're playing music? Like I'm not. I feel like...
Are you conscious of your skin color? Are you conscious of your religion? Are you conscious of your hair color? I mean...
So I think the question, or the type of question that I wish were more frequent would be like really thoughtful and substantive questions about my music. I feel like I can't comment for my entire gender. I can't, and honestly, I don't ever want anything I say to alienate people, you know? And what interests me more is making the best music I can make. And when people listen attentively and have an observation or a question that's insightful, I love talking about that. You can't shut me up.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, not I agree that you can't shut you up. I mean,
it's true.
It's the same about me. For me, I mean, what I feel about being constantly asked that is it just perpetuates the segregation. You know, it's like, if you didn't constantly harp on that, then, you know, maybe for a second, the person who's reading the interview would not think she happens to be a girl. You know what I mean? And so I think it just keeps the focus on that rather than trying to steer it away from it. And plus, again, like we don't know anything else. You know what I mean? So like, what insight could I possibly have on it? I mean, it's like, that's just like asking anybody about what's your experience in the music industry. Everybody's going to have their own answer about that, regardless of what gender they are. Did you already say this? Because I feel like I'm repeating what your answer.
Continue.
But it's just kind of like, that's just like asking it, and in a way that's like not helping, because it's like literally the same thing as asking what's your experience in the music industry, but now you're singling something out that is going to perpetuate an issue.
Right. That's
that
a
we're
really good
already
point.
like trying to move away from.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest issue of being a woman in the music industry is you're constantly asked what it's like to be a woman in the music industry.
It's just like you're constantly reminded, and it's just like, thank you, I didn't remember I have boobs. You know what I mean? It's just like, I woke up today and I forgot they were there. Thank you for, I looked, okay, cool, still there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, let me play guitar. Whoa.
Oh, wait, how did that happen? And that's another thing. It's like, never have I felt...
never happened.
Yeah, never happened. Like, I've never felt like, oh, the shape of my instrument, you know what?
Oh, God, yeah.
My body really gets in the way of that. Never have I ever thought that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you should play never have I ever on the show.
Oh, right, exactly. And see who gets tea drunk first.
Yes. No, and then, like, I guess what I would like to be asked is just, like, about the human experience of being an artist, not like what's your experience being a female in a tough industry or whatever, but like really what it's like to live in your head as someone who's a creative person, because like people don't share that enough. And again, like if you know anything about my last record, it's just kind of like I'm never afraid to talk about like the hardships of it. And again, I don't want to make it into anything negative, but I think if you also try to steer too hard away from the negative things, you're never really going to have, like, the truth about what's going on. You're never going to have documentaries. You're never going to have, like, So I think, just like you, interviewers that really do their research and know really about what you do, not that you're another female guitar player or you're another guitar player, hopefully, or whatever, like, if they're more informed, they can really ask you about your art form, which is different than your art form, and everybody else's, and like now you got a better interview no matter what.
To anybody doing an interview, is put in a minimum of as much time to researching the person you're interviewing as you would hope that they would give you for the interview. So at the very least, go to their website, read their bio, check out their music, do some, and I don't say do that like, you should do that, but more like you're gonna get a much more interesting interview. Yeah. You're gonna get
ask better questions.
Yeah, you're gonna get past the stuff that everybody knows, and you're gonna
What's your favorite color?
Right, exactly. How did you start playing guitar?
Can you think of an interview that did not ask you that?
I can, and some don't, and I feel like
there's nothing wrong with that question, because every interview there's someone reading who doesn't know.
Well, and I can actually say, because I had the incredible opportunity to interview Steve Morse, one of my greatest heroes, for Guitar Player magazine, and I realize how difficult it is to write interview questions. Like, I know about Steve Morse. Like, he's been my hero since day one, and the thing I kept coming back to is, don't ask a question because, oh, this is a question I could ask. Ask a question where you would genuinely be interested in knowing the answer.
Yeah, what do you want to know?
And a lot of times I've been asked a question where I'm happy to answer it, but I think, does anybody care what the answer to this question is? Like, is this interesting to somebody?
You know what comes to mind is actually, I think this is why social media is really great, because the fans a lot of time get a glimpse into our lives in what they would wish they could find out, that we are willing to give, and we are volunteering to give, like that's a side of our life. I think at its best, it's another way to be creative, and we choose what to showcase, and then fans get to have kind of like exclusive content in a way that is approved by us that they might not get anywhere else. I think that's really the positive side of social media. So we're doing one more question?
Let's do one more question.
Both of you are incredibly talented musicians, thank you, and you prove it when you are on the stage, so what would be your advice to anyone who wants to start playing an instrument? Greetings from Spain, and keep the rock alive. That was Alberto Menendez Martinez. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The best advice I can give is just do what you love and find your own path, and don't let anything deter you from it. Keep learning and just do whatever you need to do to keep that love pure.
Yeah, definitely Don't do it for any other reason other than the love of music. You gotta start there.
It's a terrible financial decision.
Yeah, it's like, you don't wanna, I mean, it's hard enough as it is. You definitely want to be doing it for the right reasons, or things get really hard really quickly. That's what she said. And then, oh no, but what I was really gonna say was, be a good person. You know, like, be a nice person to others and yourself.
All right.
All right. You want to ask the question now?
Okay, so now is the time on the show that we turn the question back to you guys. So leave it your answers in the comments below. Tag us on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And our question for you guys is, what are your favorite aspects of the internet, online, social media experiences? And what are some of the, if you have a remarkable or cool experience, we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. All right, and I guess join us next time on the next. Oh wait, we forgot to give a shout out.
Oh yeah. Here, this is in view of the subject of this episode. We wanted to give a shout out to Nita Strauss, who is such a positive person, such a positive use of social media and everything like that.
It's always been in our corner. Thank you for all your shout outs. This is just our way of giving back.
Yes, so we are sporting her kind of signature shirts. You'll see Nita in these all the time. They're from Beverly Hills, and we love you, Nita. Thank you for being a great ambassador. Oh,
thanks for the tea, baby.
Sure, of course. Hey, Ferd wants you to see his ass.
Hey!
Welcome to Muses and Musings with Nili and Gretchen.
Number 4.
3?
Or we flip? I thought we were just like keeping number 3 for the other one.
Oh.
Or we can. That's fine.
We'll determine which number it is.
Let's redo that.
Okay.
Let's be more decisive.
Let's try this. All right. Welcome to Muses and Musings.
That's decisive.
What happens when we do too many today's problem?
Okay.
Welcome.
Damn it, Camp Hair.
Yeah, facts of life. He's looking at your lap.
That's what all the boys. I think we're good.
We're good. All right.